99.5. I am Kayla King and welcome to your news at noon. These are the stories that we are currently tracking. Ministry silent on daily flaring and production data as ExxonMobil tells stakeholders to ask government, says TIGI. ExxonMobil to drill Whiptail well this month as operator heightens activities in Stabroek Block. Public officials using pandemic to avoid media scrutiny, says GPA president, and PPPC condemned oil contract signed by coalition but won't renegotiate, says Lincoln Lewis. Stay tuned to stay informed. Also commenced exploration drilling at the Koebi 1 well, and that the exploration well at Whiptail is planned to be spud in May. He said too that the company's plans further exploration and appraisal activities for the second half of 2021 with a total of 12 wells to be drilled. Additionally, he disclosed that key appraisal activities would be targeted in the southeastern portion of the Stabroek Block to inform future developments. Meanwhile, President of the Guyana Press Association, Nazim Ragobir, who was recently named President of the Association of Caribbean Media Workers, has stated that public officials have been using the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic to avoid media scrutiny. She revealed that there is a lack of access to public officials by the media. She also noted that it is an issue journalists are facing in several territories, since many organizations in their respective country report have lamented that the pandemic is being used by these officials to reduce their interaction with the press. This, she said, is of concern to the ACM. According to Ragobir, even though these public officials are capitalizing on the pandemic to avoid scrutiny, she is encouraging journalists to not let it hamper their accessibility. Meanwhile, even though while in opposition, the PPPC would have heavily criticized the Stabroek Block agreement signed between the former coalition government and U.S. oil giant ExxonMobil, it has refused the opportunity to renegotiate the contract now that it is in government. This is the view of General Secretary of the Guyana Trade Union Congress, Lincoln Lewis. In light of Lewis noting that many have dubbed the contract as lopsided, it must be said that it is no secret that a range of its provisions are crafted in ways that would cause Guyana to suffer value leakages to great extents. Interestingly, while Vice President Barra Jagdeo was opposition leader, he had on many occasions lambasted the coalition for the poor deal signed with Exxon. It is now 12 hours 10. Coming up after the break would be unsuccessful home invader found with 3 bullet wounds. Ministry set deadline for pre-qualification of contractors. Linden shallow grave murder. Police await advice from DPP on way forward as autopsy reveals that the victim died from a bullet to the head. Preview that surpasses 300. Do stay tuned. 60-year-old man is currently nursing 3 bullet wounds after he reportedly tried to enter a businessman's home last Sunday. According to a police report, 33-year-old Sheldon Barali, a businessman of Settlement, Northwest District, Region 1, has seen the man trying to enter his home shortly after midnight. Barali, a legal firearm holder, said that he discharged several rounds in the suspect's direction. The suspect managed to escape but was picked up by police yesterday after information surfaced that he was involved in the attempted home intrusion. According to police, when they arrived at the suspect's Barima River home, he had 3 gunshot wounds to his arm, back, and abdomen. The man, who is currently in stable condition, is under police guard at the Mabaruma Regional Hospital as an investigation continues. Now let's tell you, the Ministry of Public Works has set May 13th, 2021 as the extended deadline for contractors' submissions in order to be pre-qualified for projects and services to the ministry for this year. In a recent notice, the ministry noted that it is inviting applications from contractors who wish to be shortlisted for the execution of work and services for the following categories. The listed categories are rehabilitation maintenance of sea defense, roads, bridges, and buildings, provision of electrical air conditioner repair services, repairs to highway lights, vehicles and equipment, provision of surveying services, hire of equipment and transportation services, and weeding and cleaning provision of labor only. Contractors who wish to be pre-qualified for the aforementioned categories can visit the ministry's Facebook page for more information. It should be noted that pre-qualifications and a tender for a contract are not the same. Since pre-qualification is not a form of tendering when used, it precedes the tendering for the actual contract. In other news, an autopsy conducted yesterday on the remains of 20-year-old Linden woman Shawnette Dover was found dead last week in a shallow grave after being reported missing weeks earlier by family members, has revealed that she died from a single gunshot wound to the head. Moreover, investigators are now awaiting advice from the Director of Public Prosecution on the way forward. Commander of Region 10, Hugh Winter, explained that ranks are still trailing her boyfriend, Shaquan Allen, the prime suspect in her murder. However, he revealed that the DPP's advice would be on possible charges for the victim's 15-year-old sister, who had led detectives to the remains, and Allen's father, who reportedly withheld information from the police. The country's COVID-19 death toll has surpassed 300. This materialized yesterday after the Ministry of Health announced that 4 more persons who tested positive for the novel coronavirus have died. Their deaths have now brought the death toll to 303. The latest fatalities are a 67-year-old man from Region 6, a 56-year-old man from Region 7, a 55-year-old woman from Region 4. According to the ministry, all 4 persons died on Sunday while receiving treatment at a medical facility. It is now 12 hours 15. Coming your way is the COVID-19 update. According to Worldometer, worldwide cases are now at 154.4 million, whereas deaths are at 3.2 million, and in the case of recoveries, 131.9 million. Locally, the ministry also recorded 46 new positive COVID-19 cases, taking the total number of confirmed cases to 13,564. Its dashboard yesterday also showed that 15 patients are in the COVID-19 intensive care unit, 98 are in institutional isolation, 1,701 in home isolation, and 9 are quarantined institutionally. To date, 11,447 recoveries have been recorded. That just about brings us to the end of our news at noon, but before we wrap things up, let's head over to the page 7, which is dedicated to being blunt. An online site, chieflearningofficer.com, describes a leader as someone who can see how things can be improved and who rallies people to move towards that better vision. Leaders, it noted too, can work towards making their vision a reality while putting people first. But just being able to motivate people isn't enough. Leaders need to be empathetic and connect with people to be successful. With the foregoing in mind, is it too much to ask our leaders, both in office and opposition, to be true to the leadership posts they currently hold? That just about brings us to the end of our news at noon. I am Kayla King. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's Newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.
Coming up next is a short commentary from the publisher of the Kaieteur News, Dr. Glenn Lal.
A message to all the bright minds of Guyana.